Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to make my first impressions video of Diablo 4 since I purchased the, I don't know what it was, the Ultimate, Deluxe, whatever edition. So we were allowed to start the game like 4 days prior to the official launch, which is on Tuesday the 6th of June. And yeah, so I want to do this like day one review after playing a day, but for me, I decided to just go full out on exploration, and my first day basically was about doing 100% completion, or at least trying to do 100% completion on Act 1. And usually if you do the complete campaign, just the main quest, so there's side quests and dungeons and whatnot, and usually I think like 14, 15 or so when you're done with Act 1. And the way I played, like discovering every single dungeon, clicking on every single Lilith shrine that I found, doing all the waypoints, doing the most of the side quests and stuff like that, I ended up being like over level 40, and I was still not done with Act 1, right? While all my friends that are just rushing through the main campaign did unlock the mount already, they defeated world bosses, got a lot of legendary items, and I had like 1 or 2 legendary items that I found somewhere in Act 1, and I was level 40, so I was the same level as them, but my progression was just not there. And so I want to talk about all my experience about the whole start, about upgrades, when did I had some kind of power spikes, and what did I end up doing, and stuff like that. So first of all, I did start with the Druid. So this decision was probably 2-3 months prior to the Diablo 4 release. I know the Druid is probably the worst, like undisputed worst class or character that you can start the game with. I've seen a lot of like guides about Druid, and it's always the same. Sucks, super terrible in the early game. Gets a bit better somewhere at like level 50 to 60, but once you start filling out your legendaries and stuff like that, you activate the class somewhere level 60, and then it starts to feel really good. Until you get to the end game stages where the Druid seems to be predictable as an S tier plus class, a God tier class with the Pulverize Werebear build, which I'm currently playing. So that's why I say I knew up front that I wanted to play Druid because I was always a big fan of like shape-shifting, so I cannot wait until shape-shifting is a thing in Path of Exile. I'm playing a Feral Druid in World of Warcraft, so every time there is some kind of Druid, some shape-shifting class, I'm always playing that. And I'm not like based on, I want to play the meta, I want to play the most OP stuff, I want to play the strongest build available. No, I'm like, oh, a Druid looks fun, I want to play Druid. I personally don't really care how strong it is compared to other classes. The only thing I care about is, will I have fun with the class or not? And honestly, the early game was actually very terrible. So the thing is, how it works in Diablo, you have skills that modify, or legendaries that modify your skills, right? So besides the classic skill tree that you have where you're just like picking your types of skills, like your basic attack or your core abilities or some defensive or minion skills and stuff like that, and ultimates, you always have like different types of skills. So talking about Pulverize is just like a Werebear skill, it slams the ground with a small AoE. But once you collect like legendaries, it transforms those skills into better skills. For example, my main skill is Pulverize. Here I have like a legendary with Pulverize creates a shockwave. So now instead of only doing a circle, I'm shooting out a shockwave, and it deals like a lot more damage. And I have other legendaries that say like Trample, for example, is another skill that leaves landslides, which is another skill that is just then built in. The point is, what I want to say is, you're not really picking what you're gonna play or what you want to play, at least not early on. You basically find a legendary that modifies one of your skills in a better way, and then this is usually what you're gonna play. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Druid aspect, because this is what I played, so I cannot talk about any other characters, right? And how the progression was, but kind of like build guide or how I ended up playing the character is probably going to be a separate video for Druid only. This is about my review on how I felt like with the campaign and what I should have done better to have a better start, so maybe it helps you guys when you start playing the game on a Tuesday, I think. Good, as I said, first thing that I definitely recommend, don't do what I did, okay? Don't go for 100% completion in Act 1, for example. It is a complete waste of time. First of all, the majority of dungeons that will give you legendary powers that you can then craft on rare items, which are the Codex of Power. Let me quickly see where this is. So every time you finish a dungeon, you get like these yeah, these aspects, basically, right, that you can craft on. So as you see, this is for Necromancer, this is for Sorcerer, this is for Rogue. Obviously, I've done every single dungeon, and not every single dungeon was giving me a Druid outcome, right? But I was like, hey, I want to just complete everything, right? So I have here Rogue, I have Barbarian, I have Sorceress, I have like tons of things that I will never use, but I still did them. So don't do the way I did. There are some legendaries that you want to farm for your main spec, and then you just check which kind of dungeon, where does it drop. I think you can even drop a pin somewhere. So if you say, oh, I need this one here for my Druid, then you just click on it, and then it will show you on the map where this dungeon is and where you can find this, right? This is something I recommend. If it is build enabling for your build, maybe you check out Maxroll, maybe you check out other websites where you find a build that you want to play, then go from there and only do those dungeons to craft, to make those build enabling affixes on your rare items to actually get your build going. Don't care about the rest, because the game scales with you, okay? So I can do like Act 1 stuff, and I'm level 53, so all the stuff that I will do here is scaled to 53, okay? So it's not like if you spend a lot of time exploring Act 1 that you're gonna have a super easy time killing the end game boss from Act 1, because it will scale with you. It's not like it's gonna be, it stops on level 10, because this is what Act 1 is supposed to be, or level 20, doesn't matter, right? So if you go in there with level 40, you just one-shot everything. That's not gonna be the case. Everything scales with you, so it's the same kind of difficulty if you're level 15 or if you're level 50. You're just gonna have like more legendaries and more damage overall, but as I said, it scales with you. So don't do what I did. Just go continue just the main campaign. Go Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, Act 5 and 6, I think it is in total, because once you finish the campaign, you unlock certain scenarios or certain end game stuff that you can find. On one hand, here is the Tree of Whispers that basically marks zones like over here where you can get 3 points, and once the bar is full, then you can go to the tree and trade your points for legendaries, for example. I have not done this yet. This is just like the way I think it works. I haven't done it yet. Then there is sometimes there is Helltide spawning. So basically a Helltide, it means for example, this region is now Helltide, right? So it's marked red. So if I go there, there will be special monsters from Helltide, and there will be treasure chests. So every time you kill those Helltide monsters, they drop some cinders. And in order to open the chest, you need a certain amount of cinders, like 75 cinders, or for a greater weapon chest, you need like 150 cinders. But the chance of getting a legendary, I think I opened like 10 chests, and like in 8 of them were a legendary in there, right? So this is like one of the endgame contents. Then there is like legions spawning, something like that. I've done one of them. It's like an event where a lot of people are there. There is world bosses, and none of that will be available as long as you haven't done the campaign, okay? First of all, finish the campaign as fast as possible. Don't worry about your waypoints, don't worry about your Lilith, don't worry about your dungeons unless it's something that is build required or build defining for a build, and just do that. But other than that, just don't worry about anything of that. Finish the main campaign, especially after finishing Act 3, going into Act 4, you're gonna get your mount. That means you're gonna be faster traveling around. And once you've done the campaign, and once everything is unlocked right here, now you could go potentially say like, hey, now I want to farm every single Lilith altar, because they give you permanent stats. And now you can farm, for example, Renown, which is every single region does have their own things where you get skill points and gamble currency and Paragon points and all these kind of things. This is what you can do right now. But first of all, do the campaign and just have an easier time as what I had, basically. Can I now just unmark this one because it's kind of like triggering? Oh, there you go. The next thing is world tier. So world tier is basically the difficulty. So in the main town over here, there is like this altar where you can set your world tier. So I did the entire campaign on Adventurer Tier 1. I think a lot of people also did it on Tier 2, which is just like a monster give more experience and more gold, but they're a little bit more challenging. I don't think there is much difference here. Once you have done the campaign, there is a special dungeon over here that you have to complete on World Tier 2 in order to unlock World Tier 3. So why do you need those world tiers? Simple. the higher the world tier, the better the items, right? 1 and 2 are pretty much the same as you see over here, but once you get to world tier number 3, you're able to drop sacred items. So basically this is an itemized system, so you drop like normal items. Then once you're in world tier 3, you drop sacred items, which is like an empowered version of the normal item. And once you get to torment difficulty, which is world tier 4, you're getting ancestral unique items. So it goes from your normal legendaries into sacred items into ancestral items. And obviously, at some point, you want to get the best items possible, and therefore you need the torment difficulty, and this will be the hardest difficulty. It's required, or at least recommended for 70 plus. I am like level 53 right now, so I'm far away. I just unlocked the world tier 3 because this is like the base. Now you basically, you do the campaign, you do all this like stuff that you can do, then you set yourself to a veteran 2 and try to do this capstone dungeon over here, and once you complete that, you can unlock tier 3, and this is when you can get sacred items, nightmare sieges to empower you, activate those hell tides that I talked before, and champion monsters have resistance. Yeah, doesn't matter, it's just like better items, better legendaries, and uniques that can only drop from this difficulty onwards, because there are certain uniques that cannot even drop in world tier 1 and 2, and the goal would be going to world tier 4 because there is other items that can drop there, which is like a lot stronger and more rare, but better than what you can get on the 3 difficulty. For example, to show that, how can I go to Torment 4 now? I need to finish the Fallen Temple Capstone Dungeon on world tier 3, so I need this one activated, and I think it's somewhere over here with the golden thingy here. This is the Fallen Temple. If I'm able to do that on world tier 3, then I can set it to world tier 4. I'm not gonna do that because it's level 70, I'm level 53. There is no fucking way I'm gonna do a dungeon that is like 17 levels above me. But what I'm doing right now is run around, as I said before, explore, doing all these like altars, because they will give you base stats for your account. And why is this important? Because of the Paragon System. So the Paragon System activates once you're level 50, and this basically gives you like another skill tree, and there's like, this is just the very beginning. There is more, there's like 5, 6, 7 of these like trees over there, and they actually give you permanent perks like willpower or just stats, you know, or increased damage, all resistance, or all these kind of things. And there are glyph spots that you can find at some point that you have to socket in, and that gives you like special treats as well. And yeah, it's a pretty complex, and I don't really have a good understanding of that just yet. But for example, what I already saw here, I have a node that I have allocated, but it's not usable because I don't have enough intelligence. So these Paragon points are also based on your stats, and since I don't have the stats, they do not work. So next step would be to just get all the altars of Lilith, to just generate a lot of like base stats from all the sources. It's gonna be like over 100 or 150 that I still have to encounter, and it's gonna be quite a journey. But overall, the campaign was really good. Definitely recommend rushing it as fast as possible. My plan of right now is to go in every zone, and as you see on the top side, I want to try to get the renown of every single zone to get all the Paragon points and skill points, because I still haven't unlocked everything, right? And this will all come together in a final product that my character passively, by exploring, by doing all these kind of activities, get stronger and stronger and get levels, and then maybe be able to do the capstone dungeon on tier 3 to get to tier 4, and then continue starting to upgrade your character. And the way you're gonna do this is that, similar to Diablo 3, where you can extract legendary powers, you can do this here as well. There is a NPC right there, where you just take your legendary, you destroy it, but you soak up the legendary power. What happens here is you're gonna get these like legendary aspects. So if I extract the legendary power of this Stormshifter's Choker, which has the hurricane effect for it, right? It's gonna transform into one of these items that that you're gonna have here. This say you extract this into this currency, and this is what you can enchant your gear on right now. So if I go to this kind of like little NPC over there, you can see that he has different options to like extract the imprint or extract the legendary power, and then you can imprint this, right? For example, this item, for example, dropped like that because it's a legendary item that has this effect. If you take a look at my weapon, it says imprinted with pulverize. It's like the special effect right there. So I had a pulverized weapon that I extracted with this NPC, and I found a good base weapon where I just put this over here. I selected my aspect over here, and then I could just craft it with some materials that you find by disenchanting stuff, and then I can use or get this one. For example, I could change my pulverize now to tornado. So it's about finding legendaries, extracting the power, then finding good base items to merge these like legendary powers onto them. So even the stuff that you find very early on in Act 1 is usable, especially since all these like legendary powers have rolls. So this rolls from, for example, the duration of Grizzly Rage is increased by 5 seconds. It could be 1 second. So what I personally do is every time I get like one that is not build defining and is a low roll, I just disenchant it. I just salvage it because I need the materials to craft affixes onto items. But then I have aspects that got max roll. For example, Tornado will seek up to 3 enemies. The roll is 1 to 3. Means this is a max roll, so I extract the power because I can use this one now for once I reach Torment 4 and I find the best possible base items with good stats on it, I can just get the max roll of my legendary aspects on top of it. So basically the way I see it, you use whatever you find, and if it's lower rolls, then just use them. But if you find perfect rolls, then just keep them for the best possible gear, because it would be terrible if I have like this mid-level weapon where I throw in the perfect pulverized roll, and then later on I just don't find another perfect roll, and then I have like the best weapon with a low roll on it and stuff like that. So it's all about the min-maxing aspect. Good, for the playstyle, let's do that real quick. So let's actually go over here into any kind of zone. As I said, it doesn't really matter where I going, just because everything scales with me. I'm playing here a Druid with the pulverized setup. As I said, if you want to, I can make a separate video on how I leveled the character, how was my progression, which dungeons did I do, which affixes did I get on there, because this should be a video for the overall first impression of the game. So let's go over here. Basically, my main skill is Pulverize, which is basically just like this slam. And these are like 2 legendary affixes. One is the Shockwave that travels that way. The second one leaves these like spikes from the ground that you just saw. None of them would be available if I wouldn't have the legendary, right? So that's why I say it is very important to just get your legendary powers going, because they will transform the skills in a way that it's gonna get very, very powerful at some point. So as I said, Druid is like one of the worst specs or classes to start early on, but in the other hand, I am a grinder, so I'm just gonna go with the flow, and I'm just gonna grind the shit out, and eventually at some point my character will be one of the strongest possible in this game. So here we have like a rare monster, so we're just gonna get all the monsters together, buff ourselves up with my ultimate, and then we're just gonna clap the monsters, trying to be in front of the pack, because my attack is like, what do you say, a frontal cone, right? So if I position myself in a way which I just showed, then I can just frontal everybody, and this is like the best outcome. As well as my attack is kind of like a two-step damaging ability. One is the initial impact of Pulverize, and one is a Shockwave. And for example, if this one here is the monster, and I will just slap my Pulverize on that, it will only get hit by the frontal, but not by the Shockwave. But if I position myself over here, I would hit it twice because of the AoE of Pulverize and because of the Shockwave that is traveling. So it's also like a positioning style on how much damage you're doing. But I started out with like, after finishing the campaign, with like 3 to 4k crits, and now after leveling a little bit more, after getting a couple of upgrades, especially my weapon, for example, now I'm actually critting sometimes towards the 50,000, 60,000, 20,000, 15 to 20,000, and this just gives me hope, because in a matter of like 3 hours of farming Word Tier 3, I was able to almost quadra my damage, and I think this is like pretty sick, and I'm looking forward. And honestly, I think the longer I play this now, the more fun it gets, because now you understand the game in a better fashion. You know what kind of stuff you're looking for, and then you find those stuff, and you notice like you have like noticeable upgrades to your character, and all of a sudden you deal like mega damage, and you start doing like performing pretty good, right? And the stuff that you had like big problems early on, like doing like some extra missions and stuff, or these events, right? You were struggling doing these events, and now you're starting to one-shot monsters. Obviously, it's not like endgame. We're far away from endgame. but it just feels like really good. And now I have like a good time just running around and just blowing up packs by packs by packs, and I will then start doing all the side content that I planned to do from the beginning, which I gladly skipped at some point because, hey, I also want to do world bosses. I also want to do all these kind of things that will improve the power of my character even further. So how would I progress now, since I'm world tier 3 or starting to, and now I'm level 53? What would be the next goal? For me personally, as I said, I want to go for a discovery tour right now. That means I want to go into every zone like I did in Act 1 over here, collecting every waypoint, getting all the exploration going, getting all the strongholds, and getting all the Lilith shrines. And once I've done this, which will probably take me like, I don't know, 10 hours or so to just finish all the campaigns over here, or all the like areas basically, then I will start doing the dungeons maybe, or starting to do the side quests maybe. I don't know what level I'm gonna be at this point. Will I be able to unlock tier 4 so I can do all these side quests on world tier 4 to have the chance of getting like the ancestral items and stuff like that? I think it's gonna be crazy, and I cannot wait to just continue the grind because I think it's a lot of fun. But yeah, at the end of the video, like now, I want to just talk about how is my impression. First of all, since I know a lot of people are gonna ask me that question, what is better, Diablo 4 or Path of Exile? Honestly, I cannot give you the answer. This is something you have to find out yourself. The game is brand new. I only discovered like probably 5% of what is possible on one single character. There is still other characters to explore, but I would say it's a comparison between, oh, what is actually better, Fortnite or PUBG or Apex Legends, for example, or League of Legends, and I don't know, like, they are different games, but they're still good on its own. All the games have pro and cons, but I don't think that anything will ever beat Path of Exile when it comes to build diversity, because I think we're still locked on our main character with the main skill, but that doesn't mean it will not change in the future on adding a new core skill gems and new other things, and new legendaries that transform these things to have like a bigger build variety. But the core is there, it's a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to start up the stream and continue the grind and just explore everything and see where the journey will go. And yeah, I hope you guys find this video quite helpful, or in some form helpful, for your start. And yeah, alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. If you want to have like my Druid video, then just let me know in the comments and I will upload that as soon as possible. And yeah, see you on the next one.